Today on The Hookup, I'm going to show you a few gadgets to make your next barbecue just a little bit smarter and ease some of the stresses that can come with everyone's favorite CDC-approved get-together. Hi, my name is Rob and I suffer from barbecue anxiety. I love cooking and entertaining, but whenever it's time to throw the meat on the grill, I have two primary concerns. First, I'm always concerned about walking the fine line between perfectly cooked meat and giving my guests food poisoning. And second, have you ever run out of propane in the middle of a barbecue? I have, and it sucks. This video is sponsored by HolidayCoro.com. If you're thinking about setting up a light show for Halloween or Christmas this year, now is the time to start planning and learning. And Holiday Coro is a great resource not only for products, but also for instructional material. Holiday Coro offers both individual components and pre-assembled kits. So whatever your level of expertise, Holiday Coro has you covered with AC light controllers, RGB light controllers, lights, props, and mounts. Check out Holiday Coro using the link down in the description to support my channel. Do you remember what it was like to drive somewhere unfamiliar before GPS? Depending on how old you are, your memories may be of foldable maps and a magnifying glass, or using MapQuest to get turn-by-turn directions, which you'd then print out and keep with you in the passenger seat of your car. Either way, if you've been driving for more than 15 years or so, you should remember when it wasn't possible to just jump in the car and drive somewhere completely new without any prep work. In the same way that GPS has revolutionized driving, leave-in grilling thermometers have revolutionized grilling for me. All the uncertainty, guesswork, and skill of grilling is gone, and every piece of meat comes out perfectly cooked, no matter its size, type, or cut, without the need for me to do any prior research. Previously, I've relied on sous vide to ease my stress and ensure that my steak and chicken was safe to eat, but not overcooked. But if you've ever messed around with it, you know it's not exactly a quick process, and it's not something you want to be dealing with when you have friends and family around ready to socialize. With leave-in thermometers, you can spend more time with your friends and family and less time worrying about your cooking. My first experience with this new cooking technique was with the high-end Meter Block, which costs $279 and gives you 4 wireless probes and a nice mount. There's also the ability to use a standalone LCD interface or Wi-Fi for the Meter Cloud. And this thing is incredible. But it kind of should be for $279. So I felt like it was important for me to explore other options that aren't so hard on the wallet. To do that, I bought the top-selling wired solution on Amazon made by ThermPRO, and it cost about $43. And I also picked up the less expensive Meter solution, the Meter Plus, which is $99. Although if you think about it, 4 Meter Pluses would be more expensive than just a single Meter Block. The ThermPRO has a standalone display that shows the temperature of each of the 4 probes, as well as a Bluetooth app that allows you to set up each probe for a specific type and preparation of meat. The main unit will beep at you when the meat reaches its desired temperature, so you know when to take it off the grill. The ThermPRO was easy to set up and easy to use, and it accomplishes basically everything that the Meter Block does, but for a fraction of the price. But I would still highly recommend the Meter Block instead, and here's why. With the Meter Block, you get 4 wireless probes and the ability to set up the cook directly on the block rather than using your phone. And those 2 small changes make all the difference in the world to me. Raw meat is sticky and messy and even a little bit dangerous. And the last thing I want to do when I'm working with raw meat is be swiping around on my phone, so the ability to use the built-in LCD screen to set up the cook is a night and day difference between the Meter Block and the ThermPRO. But it's not even the biggest advantage. Wireless probes are a game changer. When you set up the probes on the ThermPRO, each will have a wire leading from the meat to the base station. And there are a few problems with wires on the grill. First, as you move the meat around to avoid hot spots and get an even cook, the wires get tangled. Second, if one cut of meat finishes cooking before the rest, you'll need to untangle it to be able to remove it from the grill. And last, when you transfer the meat to the cooked platter, you've got 2 options with the ThermPRO. You can either use a glove to remove the probe, in which case you're going to lose a lot of the hot juices, or you can unplug the wire from the base station and just let the probe dangle off the side of the platter. And these are 2 not great options in my book. With the Meter Block, you leave the probes in. In fact, the meter will tell you when to remove the meat from the grill, but it will also tell you how long to rest the meat before removing the probe, at which time it'll tell you the maximum temperature that the inside of the meat reached. This channel is usually all about making small trade-offs to save some money. But in this case, I think that the Meter Block may legitimately be worth 6 times the price. One of my biggest problems with these cooking gadgets is that if they're inconvenient to use, I know they're just going to sit in a drawer and never get used again. The meter block is so simple to clean and so convenient to use that I'm pretty sure I'm going to use it every single time I fire up my grill. If you do want to get extra fancy and use your phone or tablet with the meter block, you can also connect it to your Wi-Fi network and use a cloud service so you can monitor your meat from any distance, even from a completely remote location. Not fancy enough? The creators of the meter, Aption Labs, have an open web API to allow you to access data from your meter and build custom programs and integrations with your smart home. I seriously love this thing, and it's got to be one of the best gift for the guy who has everything options I've ever experienced. Father's Day, Christmas, Groundhog's Day, whatever your excuse needs to be, I can pretty much guarantee that this will be a gift that will not only be well received, but also used regularly. And no, this is not a paid sponsorship. I just like it that much. I do have two minor annoyances with the meter block. First, it only uses the 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi band, which gave me a little bit of trouble at first since I only have my outside access point set up for the 5 gigahertz band. And second, there's an option to power your meter block via USB instead of using the included AA batteries. But the USB plug is on the side, so if I wanted to permanently mount the meter block on my outdoor kitchen, there's no good way to hide the wire. These are super minor inconveniences in an otherwise amazing product. The Meter Plus, on the other hand, that one was a miss for me. There's no on-screen display, it's a single probe, and it's Bluetooth only. And it still has a pretty steep price tag to go along with it. So all that makes it a no-go for me, at least for my application. I can see how it might be useful if you were smoking one large brisket, but the meter block is so far superior in every way that I don't think I could recommend the Meter Plus as a lower cost replacement for it. Okay, one cookout stressor taken care of, on to the next. How much propane is left in your tank? Up until a few weeks ago, my solution for monitoring propane levels was super low tech, a line pressure valve in between the propane tank and the gas line for the grill. But for me, it always seemed like the arrow always jumped from everything is fine to sorry you don't have any more propane within a single cook. In search of a better option, I found 3 different types of solutions. There are bottom-mounted ultrasonic sensors, weight-based sensors, and float-based sensors that require something called an R3D ready propane tank, which you probably don't have on your grill since they're generally only installed on much larger tanks. $50, and a few days later, I had both the FlameKing weight-based sensor and the Mopica ultrasonic sensor in hand. My initial impressions were great, better than I ever expected. I installed 2 AA batteries in the FlameKing and I put it under my tank. After switching the power on and pressing the sync button, the FlameKing app connected via Bluetooth and showed that my tank was 44% full. Easy and exactly what I was looking for. The Mopica sensor installed under the tank with magnets, so I followed the instructions, I cleaned up the bottom surface of the tank, and then I put a pea-sized bead of the included petroleum jelly onto the sensor tab. After holding down the sync button to activate the device, it was discovered via Bluetooth in the Mopica app and it read 42%. And I was honestly blown away by how similar the 2 readings were, making me wonder where all these poor reviews were coming from on Amazon. Later that night, I grilled some chicken breast, and in the middle of the cook, I got an alert from the Mopica device that said that my tank was empty. And that was a surprise since it was at 42% just a few hours earlier. I decided to double check the tank level in the FlameKing app, but the FlameKing app refused to connect via Bluetooth, and the reviews were starting to make sense. Of course, the switch and the sync button for the FlameKing are on the bottom of the unit, so you have to remove your propane tank to troubleshoot. And unsurprisingly, after lifting the propane tank back off the FlameKing so that I could flip the switch, magically it decided to reconnect and it confirmed that my tank was still over 40% full. In fact, I haven't been able to make the Mopica sensor work again since the very first day. And since there's likely some complex math and engineering going into the propane calculations of an ultrasonic sensor, it's not likely that I'm going to be able to fix or modify it even if I wanted to. The FlameKing product, on the other hand, is about as simple of a concept as you can get. An empty propane tank weighs 17 pounds, and a 20-pound propane tank gets filled with 20 pounds of propane. That gives it an overall weight of 37 pounds for a 100% full tank. If you can semi-accurately measure the weight of the tank, then calculating the percentage of propane left is just simple middle school math. Taking apart the inexpensive FlameKing device reveals an absolutely no-frills design, where cost has been reduced to an absolute minimum. Instead of a typical 4 load cell network like you'd find on a digital bathroom scale, the FlameKing uses 3 load cells to save some cost. The only other components are a cheap battery holder for the two AA batteries that are not included, and a small logic chip with a Bluetooth transmitter. Aside from my connection issue and the annoyance caused by the terrible switch location, there's one other serious issue with the FlameKing. According to their own documentation, the two AA batteries that are used but not included can last up to 3 months. Up to, meaning probably less. I use my grill like once or twice a week, and I can't remember the last time that I went through a propane tank in under 3 months, meaning I'm going to be replacing the batteries on my tank monitor more than the tank itself, and that just doesn't make any sense. Why not just turn off the unit so it doesn't drain the batteries when I'm not using it and turn it back on before a cookout? Maybe I would if they hadn't mounted the switch on the bottom of the unit in a completely inaccessible location. I decided to just say screw it and build my own out of some scrap plywood and an $8 load sensor kit from Amazon. I already have a Node MCU Wi-Fi controller for my landscape lights and my countertop LEDs, so it was easy to just wire this into some spare pins and write a little bit of code to send the propane levels to Home Assistant via MQTT. I'm planning on doing at least a write-up on my website for how I did it, but if you're interested, leave a comment below and I may even make a whole video about it. So what do you think? Did I miss any essential barbecue gadgets that you use? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you so much to all of my awesome patrons over at Patreon for your continued support of my channel. If you're interested in supporting my channel, please check out the links down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing. And as always, thanks for watching the hookup.